Let's talk a little bit about carpal tunnel syndrome. So carpal tunnel syndrome is an overuse injury where the tunnel through which the nerves, the axillary nerves, the brachial nerves, and all of these nerves that run down the arm, where they get compressed inside this little tunnel where they go through to the hand because of either overuse and inflammation, right? Or holding in one position all the time, right? It causes tightness, tension, inflammation, and then compression on that nerve root. And when the nerves are compressed, whether it's in your wrist or your back or wherever it may be, anytime they're compressed, they get irritated. Anytime they get inflamed, they get irritated. And they send us messages like pain, numbness, tingling, sometimes even weird itches, right? We call these paresthesias. They are when the nerves get excited or irritated, they send us signals. And those signals are something to pay attention to. So when you ride, if you get numb, or if you get tingling, especially down the thumb and the first two fingers, right? Sometimes that's because of this constant compression. So we want to do things that can help to alleviate that, to open up that tunnel, and to stop overusing them, right? So one thing is going to be, of course, hand position on the bike. So you don't want to be constantly flexed. If you can adjust your handlebars so that your riding position is more of a straight shot, that's going to be the best thing for your wrists. So first think about that. Next, you might be able to get some soft braces that don't impede too much the throttle action, and you might be able to help support the muscles of the hands and wrists if you're having issues. The other thing is to get a throttle lock if you can, or use cruise control on this hand. Now it's a little easier to let go with your left hand than it is your right? Because this is just your braking hand. And so my left hand, I don't get as much numbness and tingling in, but this hand I do. And so that's why the throttle lock or cruise control or anything like that can be helpful. Now, as far as stretches go, as far as being able to move through this, there are a lot of YouTube videos and things like that that some really great physical therapists have put out there. If you look up nerve glides, they kind of explain this, but the nerves don't like to be stretched. They are okay with moving, but they're supposed to glide through the tissues. And what happens when we sit in one position for too long, when we do the same thing over and over again, so the body responds by kind of thickening up some of the fascia and getting stickier, right? Because we're not moving it, we're not gliding over those tissues like it should. So the nerves don't want to be adhered to the muscle and then stretched and pulled, because then they get irritated and they cause problems for us. But if we can get it so that they're moving correctly and some of that fascia is loosened up, it can be really helpful. And so nerve glides are things like just dropping your wrist and then putting your palm toward the ceiling, dropping it and putting your palm toward the ceiling, or turning your thumb over and back like that. So you can do these kind of in the saddle. If you're just stopped at a stoplight, you can kind of move this. But then there are some stretches that you can also do for your wrists while you're riding. Again, stopped at a stoplight. If you think about our position is kind of like this a lot of the time. So we want to counter that. We want to stretch that. So this is stretched out when that's happening, and this is shorter. And these muscle fibers are shortened out. So we want to lengthen those out, so we need to drop the wrist. We need to drop the wrist and maybe put a little gentle pressure on the front of the hand so that we can stretch out and counter stretch these tight muscles, because they're getting shortened and tight all the time. And we need to let go of them. If you want to do this off the bike as a morning routine or an evening routine, what you can do is just bring the hand out in front of you and put a little downward pressure. If it's too hard for you to hold your shoulder up like that for whatever reason, you can bring your elbow down at your side and just do the same thing. You can do the same thing while you're on the bike, right? Flip it over, open up through here, but mostly it's this one that's going to be important, okay? So So those are some different kinds of glides and things that you can do for your wrists. In another video, we will talk about strengthening the wrists and doing some different finger exercises that can help with arthritis and carpal tunnel and all those kinds of things. Hope this was helpful.